Hello, welcome to 10 Minutes with Malachi. I'm Buddy Pennington, pastor of Westville Assembly of God in Northern Holmes County, Florida. With this video, we will be doing part 5 of lesson 1. I'll be reading to you from Malachi chapter number 2, verses 5 through 7 from the New Living Translation. Allow me to do that now. The purpose of my covenant with the Levites was to bring life and peace, and that is what I gave them. This required reverence from them, and they greatly revered me and stood in awe of my name. They passed on to the people the truth of the instructions they received from me. They did not lie or cheat. They walked with me, living good and righteous lives, and they turned many from lives of sin. The words of a priest's lips should preserve knowledge of God, and people should go to him for instruction, for the priest is the messenger of the Lord of heaven's armies. Now God had established an agreement, a covenant, if you will, with the priests of Israel. He had chosen Aaron's descendants to be the ones who would have the responsibility of representing him to the people, and he would choose them to minister to them and for them on his behalf. They were to be God's messengers to the people of Israel. Now, as his messengers, the priests had the responsibility of relaying to the people the instructions that they had received from God's commandments. They were to be the source of knowledge about God to the people. They were to stand before God and minister to the people as his spokesman. The priests were supposed to make sure that the people knew about God and about how to worship him properly. They were the spiritual leaders of Israel, and as such, they were to pass the knowledge of God on from one generation to the next, so that everyone, young and old, would know about God and how to properly worship God. Now, as God's spokesmen and national leaders, the priests were expected to set an example to the people of how to live. Now, prior to Malachi's day, they had done just that. They had been honest and truthful in their dealings with the people and with each other. They had demonstrated through their actions how to live righteously in God's eyes. Through their instructions and through their examples, they had been able to help many in the nation of Israel to turn from living sinful lives toward turning righteously to God and living in holiness before him. Now, by being the type of spiritual leaders that God had intended them to be, God blessed the priests with lives of peace, with lives of mercy, and because they had shown reverence to God, he blessed their lives. Their words and actions showed the people that God was to be respected, he was to be revered, and his name was to be given honor and majesty. He was to be held in high esteem. And living in that fashion brought the kind of life not just to the priests, but to the nation of Israel that God had intended them to have. Their model lives were positive influences on the people, the whole nation of Israel. And the people actually attempted to live as the priests had been living. Now, the condemnation of God toward the priests who were his messengers during the days of Malachi came because they had stopped living like he had told them they were supposed to live. You see, their ancestors had revered God. The priests of Malachi's day had stopped revering God. They had ceased to be the models on how to live righteously before God. They had broken the covenant that God had made with them. They were not correcting the people as the people brought defiled sacrifices to offer to the altar of God. By doing that, they were failing as the leaders of the spiritual life of the nation of Israel. They were not leading by examples, and they were not properly sharing the knowledge of God with the nation. Now, in the middle of his condemnation, God refers to how their ancestors had revered him and had lived according to his instructions. God has given the priests of the days of Malachi a correct example on how they should live by referring to their ancestors. He's reminded them of the requirements that he had placed on the priests and how they were supposed to live and serve God by serving the people and showing them how to worship God properly. He has tried to get them to refocus on reverence for his name, to get them to refocus on how they were supposed to live before the people so that the people would revere God also. Now, with this part of Lesson 1, we end the scriptural part of the study of Malachi. In the next video, which will be part 6 of Lesson 1, we will take a look at how this Old Testament teaching would relate to modern day Christianity. Now, many times people say that the Old Testament doesn't relate to the new life of Christianity anymore. I beg to differ. In the next video, we will look at exactly how this lesson that we have shared with you so far from the book of Malachi relates directly to the people of Christianity and directly to his modern day messengers. Allow me to encourage you to visit our Facebook page, which is Westville AG at 2513 Cypress Street. You can find notes for our videos at our website, which is westvilleag.org. You will find not only the lesson notes for these videos, but also lesson notes for our sermons that we share on Sunday morning with our congregation. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can know when we have new lessons from Malachi to appear, and also so that you can know whenever we have new sermons from our Sunday morning worship time together. May God richly bless you is our prayer. And until next time, may God guide your steps.